Good day, guys. We are looking at a beef shortage in the United States, according to Reuters, and not the not the only news organization that's reporting this, but Tyson Foods will close or sell 3 U.S. beef facilities as industry struggles. Tyson is to shut down operations at plants in Illinois and Utah, and looks to sell the Washington plant. The company says it will shift capacity to other sites to maintain similar cattle slaughter levels. Closures mark the latest signal of trouble for the beef processing industry. And it goes on to say that we're at a historic cattle shortage, basically. We're currently dealing with a 75-year trough or drop in supply. For cattle, I mean, it's a problem. It's definitely a problem, no matter how you look at it. 75-year low after prolonged drought burned up grazing lands in the western U.S. and Washington, suspended imports from Mexico in an attempt to keep the flesh-eating livestock pest, the New World screwworm, out of the supply. Another outlet, Fox Business, excuse me, you guys, says that USDA data shows that the nation has entered 2026 with just 86.2 million cattle, and that's down more than 8 million from 2019. Beef prices are tied to this, and it looks like they are expected to they're expected to climb. Beef prices are expected to climb. Bad news on top of everything else that has climbed in the United States as far as prices go: eggs, gasoline, you name it. The only thing that we don't seem to have a problem with climbing is wages. Wages have not kept up, and a lot of people out there are absolutely suffering. I myself, I'm only a part-time creator on YouTube. I work a full-time job, and I have had to change a lot of what I'm doing. I still go out to eat here and there. I shouldn't, but I do. And I have to admit that it gets expensive anytime I want to. I definitely don't do it very often now, compared to before. And I've had to adjust my eating habits. I've had to go with more vegetables than, and even vegetables are expensive too. So it's like, unless you're on a diet of beans and rice, you can kind of improvise. You can cook some ground beef, throw it in your stew or whatever you decide to make. I've been, at times getting a few cans of beans, throwing some ground beef into that, and having some tortillas, and it kind of makes it a sort of I guess you could say a Mexican food-ish type of thing. But it's harder. It's so much harder nowadays to just simply eat, And Hamburger Helper is starting to be, where it used to be a cheap and quick alternative in the American staple, American diet. Even that's getting expensive. If you're having to go buy a pound of ground beef, You know, that's $10 right there, and $10 may not be much, but if you're feeding a family, if you're feeding yourself, even if you're feeding yourself, you know, it's not easy. It's not cheap anymore. I remember when, you know, if you wanted to go to a steakhouse and get a steak, it was like, you know, if you wanted to go out to eat, it was like, you know, $15-20 to go out to eat. Nowadays, my goodness, you go to you'd be hard pressed to find an uncooked steak, you know, just a steak at a grocery store. You'd be hard pressed to find one for less than $20 is my experience lately. You know, 15 to $20 for you know, for a slab of meat, you know. So it's getting rough. It's getting rough out there, and the drought obviously is making things difficult. I've looked out here in the farm area where I'm at, and I see this year, I think, I saw more empty fields than I've ever seen before in my entire time on this planet, which is 40 years. And to see fewer and fewer fields being farmed, some of which are up for sale, and some of the fields that used to be out here have been sold, and houses have been built on them. They've become, you know, a development, and this is bad. This is a bad thing. I'm afraid that as early as this fall, we might be dealing with a huge spike in beef prices. It's always more difficult in cold weather. It's always more difficult when the weather changes and winter sets in and so on, where there's less sunlight, it's cold. Energy prices are up. Heating costs are going to be up. Electricity is up thanks to a lot of the data centers. A lot of all the worst things that could happen all at one time are happening right now. Drought, fires, the price of diesel, which is, you know, putting some farmers out of business. Energy costs, which are making it difficult to heat houses. And even if you have a wood-burning stove, even if you have the old-fashioned, you know, where you can throw something in the fire, we have less lumber. Canada was on fire this year like crazy, so I mean, you can only imagine what that's going to do to lumber prices. I mean, it's inevitable. The only thing that we might still have, and we do have a huge supply of coal, but coal has been reduced by a lot. A lot of power plants are no longer using coal because of government regulation, which seems to still be in place even under Donald Trump. It seems like this stuff is still going on. And my grandparents used to burn coal all the time. They would get it from downtown. They lived in a small town. They'd go downtown, and I don't remember what the place was called, but it was a place that sold coal, and it was cheap. It was usually cheaper than firewood, and so they would use firewood to get the fire going in a wood burning stove, and then they start throwing coal on it and keep the coal going. and that's how they'd heat their house. And it was a cheaper alternative to having a furnace. And they didn't end up having a natural gas furnace until I think the late 90s. But we're facing a lot of strange things these days. We're facing a lot of supply and demand problems. We're facing the most deflated dollar ever in the history of the United States. It's been a long time coming, but it is definitely getting worse. I wish I could say it wasn't, but it's getting worse. We've still got insane home prices. We still have wages that haven't climbed, haven't kept up. And we've got, if you look at the national debt and the national debt clock, it also shows that we have the same number of people working in this country that we did in right around the year 2000, right around 2004, I think it was. So we've got a bigger population. I don't even know how many people are in the United States right now because we haven't had a census in a while. So to have the same number of people working today that we had around the year 2000, 2004, like I said, I think is the number, or the year. Not knowing for sure what our population is now, because I don't think it's 347 million like they're saying. I think it's more than that, to be honest. But since we haven't had a census in a while, I'm kind of wondering what that actual number is. And I've been seeing the homeless population shrink lately, but that doesn't make any sense to me because we've had more job cuts and layoffs in the last 2 years than we have had in quite a while. So I almost feel like even those numbers are inaccurate. We know that they were inaccurate under the Biden administration, and we know that for a while, even under the Trump administration, they were correcting those numbers, saying that they added all these jobs to the economy and then being like, oh, well, we've adjusted those numbers because they just simply flat out were false. And if we're going to lie about where we're at, and I don't care who's president. I don't care if it's a Republican or a Democrat. If you're going to lie about the numbers, you're just as bad as anybody else, right? If you're Donald Trump and you've criticized the previous administration about job creation numbers, and then you're doing the same thing, what does that say about you? Well, it says you're a liar too. So I don't care what team the liars play for. If you're a liar, you are a piece of excrement, to put it in a YouTube-friendly wording. And I do not salute you if you are. If you're a liar, I don't care who you are, you better start looking at yourself and change your ways. And I'm not going to be able to do anything about it. You know, it's not by my hand that anything is going to change or that you're going to receive any type of punishment. But what goes around comes around. And we always end up in history, usually anyway, somehow, some way, it all corrects itself. But unfortunately, you and I, we the people, the commoners, the peasants, we end up suffering first. And then the people at the very top that are still surviving, they end up finally being destroyed, whether by natural means. It always corrects. The system will always correct itself at some point, somewhere, somehow. Unfortunately, the process is painful on us before it ever even starts to hurt them. And I'm not an anarchist, and I'm not somebody who hates the rich or anything else like that, but it's definitely something for those who have everything and own everything to start thinking about when the buffer of the middle class, which is almost gone, the buffer of the commoners disappears, and you've got nobody to pay the taxes, and you can no longer print any more money, and you've got nobody left to steal from. That's when things get really bad for you. Unfortunately, by that time, usually the majority of us are already gone. Anyway, guys, this was a reflective video, I guess you could say. I hope everybody out there is thinking of alternative ways of being able to survive and be able to eat. I don't like to put out negative stuff, but hey, the canary in the coal mine, the warnings, the things that we don't like to see or hear are sometimes the best things for us, because it makes us start to try to anticipate things and try to make the types of moves that may or may not help us, but may get us, keep us going just a little bit longer. So with that being said, I want to thank everybody who has subscribed to this channel, who has watched, liked, commented, shared, etc. It does not go unnoticed. I am trying to, in my own little way, change the world somehow. There are many people out there like this, like me. There are many people out there who are trying to make a difference in this world, even if it's a small video here and there. I don't have a lot of money. In fact, I don't have any money. I mean, I live paycheck to paycheck as well right now. So any help from you guys would be greatly appreciated, as far as sharing this video, following, even if you're just simply interested in trying to change the world yourselves, even if you are in some way, like the rest of us, trying to build a movement of honesty, of integrity, of making life better for people. I know that sounds very general, but it's important that our core, that we have core beliefs, that we're not just another car salesman trying to make a buck. So anyway, guys, that's all I have for this one. I, again, want to thank everyone who's watching, and I'll catch you next time.